The siege of s-Hertogenbosch was an action in 1629, during the 80 Years' War, in which a Dutch Republican army captured the city of s-Hertogenbosch. The city had been loyal to the King of Spain since 1579 and was part of the Spanish Netherlands. Background: the 12 Years' Truce ended in 1621. Stadtholder Maurice of Orange had in the meantime played a part in instigating the 30 Years' War in Germany. The Habsburgs tried to punish the rebellious Dutch Republic by cutting it off from its hinterland by a land blockade. S-Hertogenbosch was the main fortress in this perimeter, and enormous sums of money were poured into the improvement of its defences. As the ground surrounding the city was a marsh, the city was generally deemed to be impregnable, as the water-saturated soil seemed to make an application of current siege methods impossible. Trench digging and undermining were apparently out of the question. Maurice had failed twice in taking the city. The blockade caused an economic crisis for the Republic, and it reacted by trying to harm the enemy in its colonies. In 1628, one of the many schemes undertaken met with spectacular success when Admiral Piet Hein of the Dutch West India Company captured the Spanish treasure fleet. The vastly improved financial situation of the Republic allowed for a major counterstroke, and Stadtholder Frederick Henry decided to break the Habsburg morale by conquering their main stronghold in the Netherlands. This came very unexpectedly. Most had predicted the goal of his campaign would be Breda, retaken by the Habsburgs in 1625. Siege attack. Advancing from Grave, he laid siege to the city in April 1629, with an army of 24,000 infantry and 4,000 cavalry. He also had hired 4,000 peasants, and these would cause a tactical surprise. Frederick Henry diverted the two main streams feeding the swamps around the city by means of a double 40-kilometer dike, in the form of a giant square, completely enclosing the fortress. Thus, having created a polder, he began to drain it with mills. After the soil had sufficiently dried out, his trenches could approach the city walls. Noble visitors from all over Europe visited the siege to admire the novel and spectacular method. Reaction from Habsburg. The Habsburg authorities did not remain idle while their main bulwark was being reduced. They sent a large relief army under command of Frederick Henry's Catholic cousin Hendrik van den Berg, reaching the city in July. Van den Berg quickly found out that his cousin's circumvallation, successfully tested at the siege of Grol in 1627, was too strong to breach. He tried to lure Frederick Henry away by invading the Republic through the Veluwe, capturing Amersfoort Fort on 14 August. When his supply base at Basel was taken, he had to withdraw. Meanwhile, the Protestant forces dug themselves ever closer to the city along the southern road from the direction of Ut, continuously bombarding the defences. During the siege, 28,517 cannonballs were fired. On the 18th of July, the large fortress Isabella fell, followed the next day by Fort Antony. Despite repeated sallies by the 2,500 men of the garrison, the attackers slowly worked their way to the southern city gate. There they undermined Bastion Ut. In the early hours of the 11th of September, a massive explosion caused a large breach in the ramparts. On the 14th of September, its military governor Antony Schett surrendered the city. Negotiations. Bishop Michael Ophavius tried to plead with Frederick Henry for religious tolerance, but though the stadtholder himself would gladly have granted religious freedom to the Catholics, as he tried to gain popularity in the Spanish Netherlands in the hope support for the rebellion would grow. Due to vehement Calvinist resistance, it had already been decided to be as strict in this respect as in the rest of the Republic. Only nunneries could remain until the last nun of those present in 1629 had died. Fall of Den Bosch. The fall of s-Hertogenbosch was an enormous blow to Habsburg prestige. Their position in the north would soon crumble, and Frederick Henry, encouraged by the success, would start a series of other sieges. assisted by his cousin Van den Berg, who changed sides after being accused of treason. Although its population would remain predominantly Catholic, s-Hertogenbosch would stay firmly in the hands of the Republic as part of the Generality lands until French revolutionary forces captured it in 1794. Only then would the Batavian Republic grant equality to Catholics. The former Duchy of Brabant remains divided to this day between Belgium and the Netherlands.